I'm Oliver. I lead a company that was incorporated between BP and Aberdeen City Council. We've been in existence now for about 3 years, and that company has one focused ambition, which is to bring to life the Aberdeen Hydrogen Hub. So the few slides that I'll take you through will provide a little bit of an overview of the project at a relatively high level. Hannah will then speak to you as one of the partners that we're working with. And Hannah's company is delivering the hydrogen package. There's a little bit of detail in hers around how that works. Maybe if I just start with a little bit of context. 4 years ago, I was leading some work for BP globally, looking at how we could support decarbonisation of cities, recognizing that cities consume something like two-thirds of global energy, and they're responsible for around 90% of CO2 emissions. So you can reasonably argue that if you want to get to net zero, you have to do something with cities. And the question was, well, how does BP support that transition? How could we work with cities? One of the cities I was working with was Aberdeen. We struck a strategic partnership, and we saw in Aberdeen a real opportunity in the hydrogen sector. So hydrogen is something that Aberdeen has been focused on for more than a decade, and the public authority there, Aberdeen City Council, had taken a real leadership step to introduce hydrogen buses and to support conversion of their own fleet vehicles to consume hydrogen. So the opportunity was to bring BP's capability and expertise and to take that hydrogen opportunity onto the next step. The way that I like to think about the company's ambition is really in two key buckets. One is the physical infrastructure that we are building, so the physical hydrogen production, storage and distribution site that we have in Aberdeen, and there are some pictures on the slide here which talk to that. But also broadly, the opportunity that we've seen and the ambition that we have to stimulate growth of the hydrogen sector. So the company, yes, needs to have infrastructure and has a demand to create hydrogen and to supply hydrogen. But we're also working with training and skills providers, with supply chain development, and with broader community outreach to stimulate the growth of a hydrogen sector in Aberdeen. Now, you might ask yourself, well, why is that relevant and is that needed? In a net zero world, hydrogen has a role to play. It has a role to play in decarbonising heavy industry, so particularly high heat processes, so steel manufacture, cement, petrochemicals. It also has a role to play in long distance mobility, and that can be in heavy goods vehicles. It could also be in marine and aviation sectors as well. So for us to get to that end state where we have a net zero solution that includes hydrogen, includes a number of other vectors, we need to start now. And what this project allows us to do is to get into action, to learn by doing, and to stimulate a broader hydrogen economy in Aberdeen. You might also ask the question, why Aberdeen? Well, Aberdeen is widely recognised as being the centre of excellence for oil and gas production in Europe. So it's an area that has strong supply chain capability, it has strong training and skills provision, strong human capital, and therefore a strong transferability and opportunity to build new value through the energy transition, building in a capability around hydrogen. So that's our ambition, and off the back of that, investing in and building a hydrogen facility to help stimulate that endpoint. The company itself is developing hydrogen production across two sites. So we have the site on the extreme left-hand side of the slide, which is where we'll be producing green hydrogen. We'll be storing up to 2 tons of hydrogen. We'll also be able to accommodate vehicles arriving to be refueled, and we'll also be then supplying hydrogen through export through tube trailers. We then have another site, which is our solar site. So we'll have a close coupled solar production facility, which produces green power to allow us to generate green hydrogen. And we have a separate site in England, which will be supplying onshore wind. We are in construction. That is a relatively unique thing to be able to say for a hydrogen project at this point. So the last point of counting, there was something like around 200 hydrogen projects in the UK. Of those, a majority are electrolytic, so about 111 are electrolytic, but only 18 are in production. When we reach commercial operation at the end of next year, we will add another one to that, so another 19. So we're in part of the market where there is a huge hopper of opportunity, but relatively few that are making it through to committed investment. But that's what we've managed to do with the Aberdeen hydrogen project. The pictures here just show us starting to lay the private wire connection between the two sites, so linking our hydrogen and solar sites. When we look at the construction and broader design and implementation of the project, we actually went to market about a year and a half ago to secure the main package vendors. So each of these core packages, we've either announced our package vendors, which are Hydrasun for hydrogen, Robertson for civils, and FES for the electrical. We were about to announce our solar vendor in the next few weeks. So the opportunities today really exist to support delivery into those tier one suppliers. And also, we will soon be going to market to identify an operation and maintenance service provider as well. What we're building today is what we call phase one of the Aberdeen Hydrogen Hub. So that's around 1,000 kilograms per day of production. We've sized that at around 200% of the local market demand for hydrogen, which means to say that in place today, there's around 500 kilograms per day demand, we believe, for bus offtake for other fleet vehicles. And there'll be an additional 500 kilograms that we're making available, either dispensing at our site or through export via tube trailer. There is a future phase anticipated. This slide just talks to what we call a hydrogen valley. So this is an application that BP has supported along with the Aberdeen City Council, with Hydrasun, with Energy Transition Zone Limited, with Scottish Enterprise and with Net Zero Technology Centre, to bring together 30 partners across the northeast of Scotland region who are all interested in participating in the hydrogen sector or consuming hydrogen to decarbonise their own operations. That whole project has a value of around 80 million euros. About 9 million of that is public funding, and the balance is then private sector funding. We submitted an application in the last couple of months. We are due to hear in the middle of this year as to whether or not at the end of the summer, as whether or not we're successful. But very much with the ambition of the Aberdeen Hydrogen Hub being a supplier into this broader node. And if we're successful with this, being able to step up and support the development of a hydrogen economy in the northeast of Scotland region. The last slide I'd like to leave you on is just a slide which talks to a couple of publications that we have made from the joint venture. We have strong ambitions to support sectoral growth of a hydrogen sector. In support of that, we have published two fundamental reports. One that looks at the training and skills provision concerning hydrogen in the broader northeast Scotland region. It defines the skills that we think are needed, where there are in-place capabilities and what the gaps are, and make some recommendations about how to close those gaps. The second has a very similar remit, but from a supply chain development perspective. Within that, we have informed our own local content ambitions as a company, using this project to help stimulate specific commercial opportunities for those interested in participating in the hydrogen sector. We are super proud that of the 4 packages we have announced, 3 of those have gone to companies headquartered in Scotland, which really speaks to the value of engaging in events like this, supporting awareness of our project and allowing companies to access and to bid into to secure scopes of work. The 4th company, which will be delivering our solar contract, we're also hoping will be a Scotland-based company, and we're due to announce that in the next few weeks. So, in summary, the Aberdeen Hydrogen Hub is part of a much bigger, is a puzzle piece for a much bigger picture. What we're using here is the infrastructure to help stimulate a broader economic opportunity. And with that, I'll hand over to Hannah to speak to the hydrogen opportunity and Hydrasun's role. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Hannah Beveridge and I'm the Hydrogen Sales and Marketing Manager at Hydrasun. And today I want to share a little bit of insight around how Hydrasun got into the hydrogen sector, a little bit of our scope of supply within the project and opportunities to get involved and kind of demystify what sits behind a hydrogen project and how does supply chain talk to us about it. Some of you may recognise Hydrasun from operating within the oil and gas sector. So we are recognised as a market leader in the provision of fluid transfer and control solutions to the global energy market. And what does that mean in a hydrogen world? Well, we've been managing high pressure gas systems in safety critical environments with a really strong process safety culture. And in 2016, we entered the hydrogen market supporting a company called ITM Power, who are an electrolyser OEM, deliver a number of their first of a kind refueling stations across the UK and Europe. Over the last 2 to 3 years, anticipating increased market demand for hydrogen systems, we've built up our engineering design and project management capability to be able to take on more complex scopes of work. We've also opened a Hydrogen Skills Academy in Aberdeen to support the growth of our own skills and competency development and also to support traditional industries transitioning into the hydrogen sector as well. We've delivered over 40 projects now across the UK and Europe. In terms of our scope of supply into the Aberdeen Hydrogen Hub, so we are responsible for the hydrogen technology package. So that is everything from the hydrogen production system, so via an electrolyser, compression, storage, dispensing, and also the tube trailer loading system as well. So that's from full design, procurement, and into construction and commissioning as well. I've outlined some of the key highlights within the project timeline on this slide. And as Ollie mentioned in his session, we're committed as a team to maximising local content and SME involvement where we can. One of the challenges in the hydrogen market as well is recognising technology available in the UK market just now. We have awarded contracts for the electrolyser package to a company called Nell. The compression system has gone to a company called Maximator, and the storage to Chesterfield Cylinders. But our goal today is to be as transparent and open as possible to encourage participation across the supply chain. And we are continuing to engage the supply chain until September this year as we work through detailed design. I've provided a list of equipment packages that sit behind the hydrogen production facility. So feel free to take a picture. We're on stand 50 as well if anybody wants to come over and have a chat to us about any opportunities. And just a key contact within our supply chain team is Jamie Ross. So please feel free to reach out to him if you're interested in getting involved in the project. Thank you.